Our next story is from Sri Lanka. A turf war is underway there. Until now, it was India versus China in Sri Lanka, but looks like the United States also wants a peace. Their focus is on the Colombo port. It's being expanded right now. The plan is to build an additional terminal. So the US is pitching in. And we're talking big money here. Washington is lending $553 million. That's more than $500 million. And just to clarify, this loan is not for the Sri Lankan government. It's for a consortium that is building the new terminal, something that US officials were quick to point out.
The priority of President Biden through his partnership for global infrastructure and investment to have high quality, high standard projects that respect local laws and conditions, that are transparent, that don't burden countries with debt at a sovereign level, but instead help finance the private sector, ultimately the source of the long-term sustainable capital that will make a difference for development around the world.
So no sovereign debt, which brings us to the consortium. Who is part of it? There are 3 companies and agencies: India's Adani Group, Sri Lanka's John Keel's Holdings, and Sri Lanka Ports Authority. The Indian firm holds 51% of the stake. Now, the US announcement is important for 2 reasons. One, the port's location. Colombo is the biggest port in Sri Lanka. Last year, it handled more than 7 million TEU of cargo. TEU is a unit of measurement. It stands for 20-foot equivalent. And how does Colombo compare with other ports? Jebel Ali in Dubai handled 14 million TEU, Singapore handled 37 million, and Colombo is located between these major ports, Dubai and Singapore. So the potential is immense. It can link West Asia to major Asian economies, basically the oil producers to the oil consumers. And that's one reason why the US announcement is important, the location of this port. The second reason is the template. It could be one for the future. Indian logistics, plus local knowledge and clout, plus American funding. This could be the answer to China. No debt trap, no hidden Chinese agenda, a win-win deal for all. It's not a new template though. India and the US have been planning such projects in the last couple of years. For example, the I2U2 in West Asia. It's the same strategy. America brings the money, India brings the logistics and manpower, and the local players lay the groundwork. But will it be enough to contain China's influence in Sri Lanka? Well, not yet. The Colombo port has Chinese investments too. The latest was announced in May this year. A Chinese company is building a logistics complex at this port. Total cost? Around $400 million. Plus, China already runs a terminal at the Colombo port. So India and the US are playing catch-up. And they're playing together. Last month, a Chinese research vessel docked in Sri Lanka. Both the US and India criticized it. They feared it was a spy ship. Same with the IMF bailout. New Delhi has backed the financial package for Colombo. The US too has supported its economic recovery. And this is a big policy shift for America. Because in the late 2000s, the US was not happy with Colombo. This was during the Sri Lankan Civil War. Washington accused the government in Sri Lanka of rights abuses. So they cut off military aid. But in the last decade, things have changed. All the focus was on the Indo-Pacific. So Sri Lanka became important. 30% of global oil traffic passes through their shores. Also 90% of China's West Asian oil. Hence America's interest. But investing or lending money is not enough. You must answer 2 key questions. 1, can you deliver on the investments? And 2, can you replicate it elsewhere? China failed on the first count. Most of their big investments in Sri Lanka are white elephants. They have not turned a profit. So India and the US need to do better. And when they do, they must replicate it elsewhere. China has port projects all over the world, in Myanmar, in Bangladesh, in Africa. So one terminal in Colombo will not be enough. At best, it's a starting point. Developing countries will be watching this project closely. How it turns out could sway their decision on new projects.